Regular meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission, Thursday, August 4th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Luis, could you call the roll?
Absolutely. Chair Taylor?
Present.
Vice Chair Ittner?
Present.
Commissioner Firestone?
Present.
Commissioner Wilson?
Here.
Commissioner Walker?
Present.
Commissioner Ruff?
Present.
Okay. Any volunteers to lead the pledge? I'll do it. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And do we have any public comments for items not on the agenda? Okay. Luis, the police report?
Absolutely. And so we will begin the report with the skate park. So for the month of July, there was one call for service and 5 which were unrelated to recreation. For Libby Park, there was 3 calls for service, 4 extra patrols, 2 arrests made in case of theft for services. For Zerazote Park, there was 8 calls for service, 3 extra patrols noted, 1 arrest of a known subject which was under the influence, and 2 calls unrelated to recreation. For City Hall campus, there was a total of 6 calls for service and an extra patrol. And for Clough, Rotary, and Daly Park, the police department was unable to locate any calls for service or activity for the month of July in those facilities. And with that, that concludes the police report.
I wanted to comment on my review. The city using Martin versus Boise as a reason to not remove or not to enforce the camping ordinance. Have we had city council working with or our legal counsel working with the sheriff's department to ensure that's being interpreted correctly? I was under the impression that it's only to not be enforced if we don't have adequate shelter for them to go to. The way I read this, it was a choice. And when it's a choice, it's still citable and arrestable.
Sure. Very good question. To my knowledge, we don't have city attorney working actively with the police department. We could definitely go ahead and submit that request if desired. So they could go ahead and look into that. I think with this particular case, although the individual was initially requesting services, it was known that the individual was going to be moving on. Mm-hmm. But as again, if requested, we could submit that to a city attorney's office.
I just wasn't aware as a city that we had a shortage. Typically, Martin versus Boise is enforced when there's a shortage of shelters, and they have no. It's a means to not punish someone for not having a place to go. Mm-hmm. But if they elect to not go, it is enforceable. You can enforce the ordinances.
Sure. And
I just want to make sure that they're interpreting it, because that can quickly become the broken window syndrome of homeless encampments in our area if
Sure.
they're interpreting it incorrectly.
Sure. And I absolutely understand that concern. I'm happy to go ahead and pass that along to make sure that it is being interpreted correctly.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Can I see your report? Because I have a question.
Yes.
About the, sorry. Luis, I just want to ask about an abbreviation used in the report.
Sure.
But I'm borrowing the report because I didn't come prepared. Sorry about that. Let's see. Subject GOA.
Gone on arrival.
Gone on arrival. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't seen that before. And I guess the other, so one is more of a comment, follow up with what you were talking about in terms of the homeless. Those are listed here as not unrelated to recreation. When people are occupying or camping or occupying space in parks, that interferes with recreation. So I'm not sure why we wouldn't consider it something related to recreation. I mean, unless you're taking a very narrow definition, which perhaps I'm just misunderstanding. It's only if it's actually involving some recreational activity.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Are you talking about the tallies?
yeah,
I think because City Hall probably isn't considered a recreational.
That is, yeah.
Well, the sign says Libby Park. The sign says this is
Oh,
Libby Park,
Libby Park.
part of Libby Park.
Right.
So, I mean, either it's recreational or it's not recreational.
And in all honesty, there wasn't any malintentions behind it. That's simply the reason why is because
Okay.
it was a City Hall campus rather than,
Well, anyway, I just wanted to bring
Yeah.
that up, and I
didn't
guess
know
the
that.
other general question I have is, if deputies are called or sent, and there's a violation of some park regulation,
Mhm.
that's not considered a violation of the law, so they have no enforcement responsibility? Is that the way I understand it?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite
So if there's
understand your question.
If there are park rules,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a complaint about someone not following the park rules,
Mm-hmm.
the deputies show up, but there's no arrest, according to the report, there's no violation
Mhm.
of the law,
Mm-hmm.
no legal violation. Who,
No, that's not why they didn't arrest. They
Okay.
didn't arrest because their interpretation of Martin versus Boise case law restricts the deputies from enforcing ordinances that restrict homelessness when there's a shortage of shelters.
okay, yeah,
And by choice, if they choose to not go to the shelters, then the law, which is a city ordinance, is still enforceable. But if they elect to not use the available shelters and still camp, it is enforceable.
okay,
And that's what I want to make sure, that I don't think that interpretation of Martin versus Boise that they're citing is applicable to these cases. And maybe there's other circumstances that we
Mhm.
don't know about, but it's a real slippery slope when the
Yep.
boots on the ground don't enforce no camping ordinances in our city parks. And if there's a separate issue of there not being enough shelters for them to go to, that somewhat falls, I guess, within the city council's purview, and if
Mhm.
they want us to research it, we can, but I just don't want to see our parks turning into homeless camping, encampments.
No, absolutely. Point well
We've
taken.
been really
on-
fortunate
yeah.
that it hasn't impacted us.
Yeah.
I mean, not all places are that fortunate, but that's, in my opinion, how it starts, is by a lack of enforcement. One person does it. Oftentimes, certain transits are more educated on the law than others, but we need to make sure that everyone is on the same page with enforcement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As mentioned,
Does that answer your question?
yeah, point well taken. I'll absolutely follow up with the sheriff's office to go ahead and see, if there's any other aspects that, we may be missing.
Okay. Or
and make
maybe
sure
a
that-
meeting with
yeah.
staff and the, Chief Rivera and our legal counsel to interpret that would
Yep.
be helpful.
Yeah,
Just,
absolutely.
it seems like something that could get away from us quickly. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, Public Works report.
So for Public Works, for the month of July, we'll go ahead and begin over at Clough Vista Park. So it looks like, it looks like there was some graffiti removal on the benches. They also did weed abatement over at Daly Ranch Park. It looks like the new signs for the dogs on leash was installed. Over at Libby Park, it looks like they did some graffiti removal in the upper and lower restrooms. There's some wood chips that were replenished throughout the park. And then some of the, excuse me one quick second here. I printed out the report and only half of it printed out, so I apologize. One of the things that they did list were recent events which were held at the park. Recent events included some of the Sterling concerts, the summer Rotary concerts as well. And then in regards to, bear with me here. I apologize for that delay. And Chair, rather than holding up the meeting, would it be okay if we came back to the report?
Yeah, I was just going to see if I had a copy. I don't think I have a
No,
copy
we,
of that in here.
yeah,
right?
traditionally,
Okay.
we don't include
Certainly,
them in the
yeah, we can
packet.
defer that to the end,
Okay.
no problem.
Absolutely. And apologies for that.
Okay, moving on to our consent agenda item, we have the minutes from the July 7th, 2022 meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review them? They were in our packet. Yes. Any questions, comments, changes?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 7th, 2022 meeting, Parks and Recreation meeting.
Thank you. And can
I'll
I get a
second that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Perfect.
With that, we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Commissioner Walker? Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Firestone?
Yes.
Vice Chair Idner?
Yes.
Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, and we are at our presentation, action, and discussion items. We have several items, 4 items on that tonight. Our first one is the Pickleball Ad Hoc Committee update, Firestone and Wilson. Recommendation that the commission receive a verbal update from Pickleball and Ad Hoc Committee. And I do have a number of speakers. I think it's beneficial to get the update and then have the speakers speak unless someone specific in the audience would like to speak before hearing the update. Oh. Luis?
I'm not showing anybody on Zoom. My only comment on that was just to assure that they are using the correct link that's on the agenda.
Oh. Is it an issue with the monitors? Oh,
I did.
okay,
I didn't bring mine either.
okay. Is there a way we can resend the link or something? Okay. Okay, well, can we move on to our update and then, well, I'll have the speakers speak.
I'm getting you to Lewis, one moment.
Maybe we'll just wait just a second. I think that's proper. Okay, we good, Luis? Okay, all right, we'll go ahead and receive our update from the ad hoc. Who's presenting tonight?
I'll start.
Okay.
We, excuse me, we set a July 15th deadline to receive proposals, and we did receive responses from 6 organizations. Well, we reached out to 6. 1 did not respond. 1 couldn't meet our deadline, but sent us some information they thought would be useful. 4 other proposals were received, and we're in the process of actually reviewing and vetting those proposals. So we don't have a decision yet, but we're narrowing it down. I would say one thing I'd like to sort of raise now and give and prepare people, because I mistakenly thought we could have this have a decision made by tonight, but it didn't happen, and that's all on me, my expectations. But as we've gone through this process and now getting these proposals, this process is taking longer, and once we do have a acoustical engineering firm lined up, which will take a certain process as well, the overall process may take a few months. So I want to just alert people that this is not a fast-track operation, as much as we're trying to move along. And so, just to let people know. And so so that's really the update. We're in the process of reviewing the proposals. They've been very thorough and responsive to our RFP, so that we're appreciative of that. And I guess I would just maybe ask if it would be okay that in the future, I know we had said we would do an ad hoc update every meeting, but I'd like to maybe suggest we do it when we actually have something to report and/or a recommendation, something more concrete. So if
We
if
can
that's
leave it on the
acceptable.
agenda, and then you can just say no report, no
Okay,
update, that's fine.
okay.
That way, if there is, you have it's agendized.
That's great. Anything you want to add?
Just, a little more detail on the process. So we've kind of have a short list of, from the proposals, and like Karen said, we're vetting those. So we've had submitted some follow-up questions to those consultants, and also asked for references that we could follow up with. So we're really trying to make sure that, we get this right. We feel like we've got one shot at spending some money to get some technical assistance, and we'd like to do it right. So it is a slow process to kind of go through the steps to make that happen. So apologize for how long it's taken, but I think we're making good progress, and we're probably pretty close to identifying a consultant to help us. What else did I want to say? I think, we have, between Karen and myself and Luis, I think we have 3 fairly different perspectives on the issues, and so I think that's good for giving kind of a well-rounded view of this, but I think that's also part of what takes time, is to make sure we're all on the same page. I think that's it.
Thank you. And I have a couple of speakers that'd like to share their thoughts. For 7A, I have 5 speakers total. And just a reminder to be respectful of the time allotted for each speaker. And please hold your comments if you're not at the podium for public speaking. I don't want anyone to feel intimidated about speaking.
And Chair, if I may,
Yes.
just wanted to go ahead and share that we did receive 2 written comments, which were shared via email.
Mhm.
The first was in regards to 7A. They simply expressed interest in hearing the update. The second comment was relating to 7B, which is a pool, and simply requesting that the committee postpone the recommendation.
So we have Gail Childress.
When do the clocks start? When I start speaking?
Yes, and there's a little, there you go.
Oh,
So
okay.
when you go to yellow, you have, I think it's 30 seconds left, and then the red is
Right now,
expired.
it's going, so I'm already wasted.
He'll
10.
restart. He'll restart,
Can we start again?
and then
Okay.
just pull your microphone down a little so we can all. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Ready here. My name is Gail Childress. I have been living in the Ojai Valley for over 44 years. I came to Ojai when I was in my early 40s. I've seen many changes over the years. For instance, there was only one light signal in Ojai, and now we have 4. When bringing up my boys, there were only 2 after-school programs for them, and it was Pop Warner football or Little League. But at this time, there were changes going on throughout the nation. A new sport was developing, and the new sport was soccer. Today, I'm seeing another change happening. Another new sport is sweeping the nation, and that sport is pickleball. Now, I'm in my 80s. I learned to play pickleball right here next to City Hall. And playing pickleball is important to me. And it's an important tool in keeping me healthy, such as keeping me healthy as I age, because I'm not giving it up. And the Benefits are increasing my balance, giving me quicker reflexes. It's an aerobic exercise. And best of all, the social side, filled with laughter. And plus, the game is so dang fun. Change is always around the corner. Please be forward-looking by increasing more court time and more courts to play on. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Leslie Eisenhart?
Good evening. My name is Leslie, and I actually live in Ventura, but I come up here 3 times a week and absolutely love pickleball. It's changed my life. I retired a couple of years ago, and that's how long I've been playing up here. It's fantastic. The courts are great, the camaraderie, the pride that these people take in maintaining the courts. You know, from an outsider looking in, I can't understand why a public court, like the courts at Libby, wouldn't be available and be more inclusive to everybody. It's discriminatory. Anyway, please keep our courts open. Please give us some more courts. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Larmandi?
I want to say thank you for your service, and I'm a pickleball player. And I want to recognize Tim and Brenda, who aren't here tonight, for all their hard work to make pickleball a reality here. The city paid for the blacktop for the courts, and the pickleball community has paid for everything else. We maintain them. The labor to maintain them comes from the pickleball players. I don't think that Soul Park is an option for a number of reasons. One, the distance from town. I ride my bike down here at 6 miles to here and 6 miles home. Cost to get into the Soul Park is $5 a time. The direction of the current courts out there goes east to west, which is not optimal. The golfers at Soul Park, it's serene playing golf. It's not like the traffic noise we have here on Ventura Street, and they're going to complain. Unless something has changed, there's been horse shows out at Soul Park since the park was started, and the arena, the horse people aren't going to like the pickleballs. It's a county park, and we know it could take years and years to go through the process. We have 2 neighbors that basically are causing all the problems here. The city is spending tons of money, and I'm just requesting that you guys be mindful of what a sport pickleball is and how much it means to so many of us. And it would be great if we could have a couple more courts in Libby. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Linda Thompson?
Hi, good evening, and thank you for letting me speak. I'm a tourist visiting Ojai, and one of the reasons, in fact, for me, the main reason that we chose to come here from Colorado as opposed to the ocean or maybe a lake or maybe the high mountains was because I went online and I found that there was pickleball here. And I wrote to Brenda, who has a Facebook page, and she welcomed me with open arms, as did everybody in the community. So my family came here, and we're spending a good deal of money, staying at a nice place, eating out, enjoying everything Ojai has. But we probably, well, since I'm the mom, we probably wouldn't have decided to come here if it weren't for pickleball. So I'd like you to think about the economic advantages of having pickleball in your community. Because I come from a small town, Silverthorne, Colorado, at 9,000 feet. To say we have 3 months of summer would be an exaggeration. And yet our pickleball community grows from about 25 people in the winter to 400 people in the summer who are coming from Texas, Arizona, Florida to play pickleball in the mountains. It's a real economic boon And 10 years ago, we started with one tennis court that accommodates 2 tennis players, but can accommodate, like here, 16 pickleball players. And now Silverthorne has 8 dedicated pickleball courts and 8 additional courts made up from sharing the courts with tennis players. We also have 2 tournaments a year, and they bring in about 120 players. And that brings in a great economic boon to our little community. And the last thing I want to, in addition, economically, pickleball is a very social sport. So after we play, generally people go out and have lunch or drinks at the mom and pops. So we really support the local community just by going out after playing pickleball. And the final thing is the single most important criteria for longevity, and we do have a large senior population here, isn't exercise, isn't diet, isn't economic status, it's social interaction. And pickleball is all about social interaction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, and I believe we have, did we have a comment online that was trying to connect?
So at
Via
this
Zoom?
moment, let me go ahead and take a quick look here. We do have one. I'm going to go ahead and bring Peter Pick, a member of the public, to go ahead and allow to speak.
Okay, and I have someone in the back raising their hand, yes? I do. I have, the only one I have left is Leslie with the request to speak last, and I do not, I have a 7D for Bob. Oh, that's an A? Okay, I think we did this last time. I remember this, I remember. Yeah, we'll do the online speaker, and then you can speak next. Uh-huh.
Peter, can you confirm you can hear us, please?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can, yes. Thank you.
Thanks for taking my comments. It feels like this is sort of a monthly repeat of the same set of comments. And so I'll be brief because I've said what I'm going to say before. Nobody here doubts, the benefits of pickleball and how much fun it is and how great the social interaction is. The issue that we have is with the noise and the noise pollution that comes with the sport to our residential neighborhood, which is an in-town village setting. And, it's more than 2 neighbors who have this issue. It's we started a group just to kind of take a position on this. And there's more than 10 members in our group, and there's more neighbors than that are impacted. We did a quick study on how many homes are within the 300 and 600 feet radius of the court. And there is a total of 27 homes. Some of them are multifamily homes that are impacted by this sound. And so, let's not dismiss this as just a couple of people who are being difficult. This is a problem that's going on throughout the nation. I find it astonishing that the pickleball activity in Ojai is so well advertised that we're attracting tourists from out of the state to our city. Think about that in the context of neighbors being negatively impacted. There is one argument to be made for providing capacity for the sport for people who live in this community. But if we're going to attract people from out of the state to come play here, I think that's a bit of a stretch. We've always, whenever we make comments, we always start with, we understand the other side, listen to us. I don't ever hear the pickleball people come to the table and say, you know what, we understand this is a problem for the neighbors. Let us better understand where you're coming from. I think, we need to start moving into a more of a talking with each other as opposed to just repeating our points, at the council or at the commission in order to find a solution here. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bob McFall.
Thank you
Sorry.
very much, Madam Chair and members of the council. I actually do agree on a couple of points with the previous speaker. My wife and I, Patty, we're both residents of Ojai and are recent pickleball players. I do think that I know that what you want are solutions, and we want solutions. We want to work with the neighbors. I think at each meeting we've tried to be very clear that we want this to work for everybody. And I don't want to come back and say the same comments that we've been making in the past. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and also listened to the last council meeting when there was a kind of an unfortunate exchange, I think, that ended up taking place. And I wanted to come in with 6 observations that hopefully will be food for thought for you. The first is that I'm very glad with the diligence that's going on with picking the sound engineer. I would only just indicate to proceed with caution, because what I found in the research on this is there's a tremendous amount of work that's already been done that's online that really defines that, in fact, there is a noise issue that is different with this. It isn't about decibels, and it doesn't really go beyond it, but there is a noise issue, and there's been a number of solutions across the country that are being put into place. So my thought would be that we should be working on solutions and what would the best way to attenuate the noise, as opposed to rediscovering, reinventing research that's already been well done. Then it seems like there's 5 alternatives that have really boiled down to this. The first is to shift us over to Libby Park. I think after seeing what took place last week at the council meeting, we know that wouldn't be an easy solution. First, there's already residents that have come out and said that it is not going to be in their location. And then the tennis players are, of course, very unhappy with it, and in a very almost hostile way, not untypical for other communities to experience the same thing with the tennis player pickleball situation. So the second option could be to, as been suggested, move to Seoul. The problem with Seoul is that there is an interest fee. There is only one court, and it's a very dilapidated court, and it would be asking really the existing several hundred pickleball players to try to somehow manage on one out-of-town court operated by the county. So that doesn't seem reasonable. The next would be building new courts, and in fact, in the future, that might be a really good option to do. But to do properly, having built pickleball courts professionally, a couple $100,000 to build a small complex, probably money that could be used in a better way. But also, it's not a short-term, easy solution. The next one would be then to tell the pickleball players, we're just not going to be able to let you play there anymore. You're going to have to find someplace else. And I don't hear anybody saying that. That doesn't seem like it. So the last is, let's make this existing wonderful facility work for all of us, work for the neighbors, and work for us. And from my own personal perspective, I think that means that we need to really spend a lot of time on sound attenuation and really put our efforts into how do we make that facility work for all of us, for the neighbors and for us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. And our last speaker, Leslie Rule.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm going to try not to repeat points. I did want to mention, I wanted to debrief you on what happened at the city council meeting. And thank you for letting us hear what you say first so we can respond to it. At the city council meeting, there was a very vague agenda item put on the agenda, and nobody really knew what it meant. So we all spoke, and nobody had any idea what we were speaking to. And in the end, what we were speaking to was an ask from Randy that the Ojai Valley, that 2 courts at Libby be, that the pickleball players be allowed to use 2 courts at Libby for 2 months during the hottest time of the year. And that didn't even get a second on the council. So, but nobody knew what we were speaking to. Otherwise, we would have really been able to speak to why yes or why no. It just turned out to be completely hostile with tennis players and pickleball players. We have heard that there are only 2 neighbors complaining. There are many neighbors, and you can get 10 people, but those are not neighbors. The other 8 people on that committee are not neighbors. I will just point that out. And work has been done. The hours have been limited. There have been sound mitigation effects, and yet we get a no, it's not enough, no, it's not enough. I will once again point out that 300 feet is 1 football field. Okay, so, think about that. How far is this noise really traveling? So in the end, what my ask to you is that you recommend to the city council that Tim Kraut, who is the pickleball ambassador and has also started a nonprofit, talk to the representative from the Ojai Valley Tennis Association, who completely says we are not going to allow pickleball in our courts. We don't believe that those courts are being used anywhere near like they say they are. We know that a fair amount of them are also partitioned out to a profit entity, Mark Weil. And, I'm not saying anything. I love the academy. I am a tennis player. But really, if we can give him 3 courts, 4 courts all day, we can't give the community courts. I would say, maybe that's not the best use of those courts any longer. So my ask to you is that you recommend to the city council that the tennis players, whoever wants to represent the Ojai Valley Tennis Association, Tim Kraut, and the city manager, Mr. Vega, get together and figure out, talk what are the real problems here. I have asked, and I would ask again, if the recreation department could figure out what the numbers of usage on those courts actually are. You really need to have that data before any kind of decision can really be made. So I would ask for data, and I would ask that the 3 parties sit down and figure this out. Why have these meetings? We will continue to come, and they will continue to come, and we will continue to say the same things, and we will continue to have this strife and this stress and this thing that is so un-Ojai in our lives. So thank you very much for your time.
Bill Wiley asked me to read his email.
Sure. Can I just have a speaker card at the end of the meeting? I was wondering where Mr. Miley was. He hasn't missed a meeting in a while.
Some fun with some relatives. 7A Ad Hoc Pickleball Acoustic Engineering Proposals Report. Oh, God, can't see it. I'm looking forward. Can you see this? Something I'm looking forward to the report.
The comment reads, 7A Pickleball Acoustic Engineering Proposal Report. I'm looking forward to this report to learn about those firms submitting and their credentials for measuring impact impulse sounds. Since there's no action on this item on the agenda, selecting a proposal firm will not take place until the September meeting. This will give all stakeholders a chance to review all proposals. I look forward to that review. Bill Miley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and just a reminder, there were at least 10 neighbors because we submitted letters indicating all the neighbors on Signal. Do you remember? Oh, we submitted letters.
I think from last meeting. Is that what you're talking about?
Like a few months ago?
Yeah, okay.
10, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you.
Ask that the 3 parties sit down and figure this out.
I don't know about that. Okay, let's move on. It's like it's a mime. It's come to life. Okay, moving on. Thank you all for your comments. We're on to 7B. We have the Pool Ad Hoc Committee update, Intner and Walker. No?
Can I ask
Yes.
just make one comment for you?
Yes, yes.
The RFPs, the responses to those are on the website, correct? So if anyone's looking to see those, to see the 4 RFPs that were received, they're on the website, the city website, correct?
Oh, great.
It was an informal, okay, so it's not in the RFP location. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to write 4.
Actually, can I have clarification? Sage, were you asking if the RFP is available?
And the response, yeah. I was asking if the
Usually if it's
RFPs and the
formal,
responses.
if it's a formal RFP, then the responses will be on there, but I don't know why we can't put them on there.
Well-
It was informal, right?
For one reason, at least one, if not all of them, are marked confidential.
Okay, great, fine.
So we can't, we
I
can't
just
share
wanted to
them.
know, because if people go there and don't find them, I just would like to.
That's interesting that they, usually the informals are not confidential, only the formal bids are confidential. But
I don't recall right off the
Okay.
top of my
Okay,
head on
that's-
what was marked, but.
Yeah, we also, in the RFP, we didn't kind of state that this would be public information. So.
Work product isn't subject to the Brown Act, but once your findings, once you've come to a conclusion, all of that documentation will be made available through the Brown Act. So all the RFPs will eventually be public once you've concluded your work product, as far as I know. But may we have the update? Do we have an update? Okay.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Very large packet.
I noticed that.
So we'll go ahead and break this down into two different sections. The first one is going to be just an update from the committee, and the second is going to be a summary of the 2002 Aquatic Facility Needs Survey assessment that was done by which was initiated by the redevelopment agency. So in regards to the update from the committee, and commissioners, please feel free to jump in with any comments. So from the last meeting, staff provided an update to the Ad Hoc Committee, which took place on Wednesday, July 29th. The key of the meeting was to discuss goals and brainstorm questions that, when answered, would help the commission make a well-rounded recommendation for council's consideration. Following the meeting, staff did reach out to the school district to obtain a better understanding of the fees which would be associated with the usage of the new pool, as well as the hours that the pool would be available. At the time of drafting the report, the staff had not yet heard back from the school district. And in efforts to provide a timely response, I apologize, I realized I was speaking very fast. The committee expressed interest in moving forward with a recommendation to provide a proposal to OUSD, the school district, for summer aquatic programming as provided by the Recreation Department in the past, with a caveat of knowing the exact cost of using the facility. So it's that aspect that would be moving forward.
Which is something that we do anyways, programming-wise.
Mhm.
It's not, I'm not sure what the concern is for not, why we wouldn't want to, given the time of year, why we wouldn't want to move forward with the recommendation.
Yeah, I think we're looking for more information. I mean, what we're saying is, yes, we will be interested, that we're interested in having recreation.
I guess it's
Find a
for,
way
it's
to-
not, there's no rush, actually, I stand corrected. It's for 2023's summer.
Well, this is communicating with the school district directly about the pool that they will build, which I don't think will be done before 2025, 2027.
Yeah, I
So
anticipate.
there's
this
no
is
rush.
just- There's
Okay.
not a rush, but there has been interest in feedback or any kind of answer from the city to the school district. And the school district gave us that really short timeline a while ago, and so we've been working on it because we could not meet the week or 2 week timeline. And I think pulling apart the whole pools discussion, whatever pool they move forward with, recreation would, like to provide the same kinds of aquatic services during the summer as they historically have. I think I think we've recently, just this week, we got an answer back from the city, which we haven't met as a committee to discuss. Sorry, from the school district, that had some information, and I'm not sure what the details are exactly, are of like some cost, but the more detailed part that would be good for us to know is what they thinking the programming parameters would be. Like, when would it be available, and what would because it's hard to really put forward much of a recommendation
Yeah.
until we have a little more data. So, I mean, we could easily go forward with, yes, the city is interested in providing aquatics at the future pool, and it'd be that simple. Not with the understanding that we would need more details on the cost to use the facility and how, we don't have enough information to tell you what it would look like exactly, but it is something that Rec has done before and would like to do again. That could be a recommendation all by itself with that we'll need more information, or we can wait until, I think we're gonna try and get a pool committee meeting together next week. Yeah. So I think we've got a time Wednesday to meet and then we'll discuss the new information and come back with it. So I think it's up to the commission what they're more comfortable with. We could do either of those two things from my perspective.
I'd like to support whatever the ad hoc committee, that's where I'm inclined. I mean, it is such a vague, I think the advantage of responding to the school district is letting them know that historically we've been interested in programming is appropriate. But at this infant stage, we're, unaware of the availability, something like that.
Well, or fiscally, we have no idea what it would look like for us. I mean, until you have an understanding of what the lease is going to cost you and all of that, we don't know how feasible it is. But yes, we're interested in doing it. I mean, I think that's kind of where we are from my perspective. We know how to program it. We'd like to run those programs. We'd like to provide, I know, we're having bugs in here.
Yeah. Having the doors open is pleasant,
sure.
but.
Nature is here, yes. So it is very generalized. It's just to say we're interested.
I know we've kind of separated out the summer part because we've done summer historically, but isn't the same true of the use throughout the year that, we would like to use it, but we need to know the details of cost and kind of regularity of availability and probably some other parameters.
I think that's fair. And is that going to be staff responding or from the commission to OUSD?
So essentially, it would be staff, but the recommendation would be sent to council, and then council would determine, whether to move forward. Yeah, that recommendation.
So I have a question, concern, whatever. I mean, I'm glad to hear that the school district has responded to the at least initial questions. And, I keep hearing or reading from the school district, school board meetings that they've also been in conversation with the YMCA, I think. So I guess the question or concern I have is there a competition here? Is there an expected competition? And would it be more prudent for us to go ahead and recommend to the city council to express very firm, clear interest in offering programming and sort of get in on the conversation, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think that's the whole point of the recommendation.
Okay.
Just with the awareness that we don't have enough details.
Sure.
Because there isn't a detailed document to go to look at what, we don't have an understanding.
So the recommendation would really be to direct staff to, or recommend to the city council to direct staff to engage in this conversation and with the idea of preparing a formal proposal, which would go through the normal process.
And I think the other thing to note, Ryan, on what you were saying is that what they have moved forward with is a project, and was incredibly clear, the amount of use will never be at a time when there are students on campus. So from that perspective, or when sports are happening.
Right.
So
we know more, we do know some of the times.
yes, I mean, we know that there's going to be a very limited availability other than the summer. The summer's going to be the biggest, most available period of time. But I agree, it's firming what that looks like and how consistent it can be. Because I mean, if you've had kids in sports in high school, I mean, those facilities are used. Pools are used in the morning. They're used in the afternoon. There are,
Well, then they're on campus from 8:30 to 3:30 now, right?
Yeah, and because the time changes, or the school starts later, mornings are also being used. It's a lot of use.
yeah. So from that, I think that's also the focus on the summer programming, because that's what's really going to be available. So
I agree that if there is some type of competition brewing, that we should put forth our interest in a formal recommendation so the city council is aware of what's going on and empower staff to work with them.
I think so.
Do we have a motion?
I guess that's me.
Karen had a good, yeah.
I make a motion that we recommend to the city council to direct the staff to engage in conversation with this Ojai Unified School District regarding programming for the new pool in preparation for offering a formal proposal at the appropriate time.
I think that's great.
Yep.
I'll second.
Yep.
So with that, we'll go ahead and do a roll call. Commissioner Walker? Yes. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes.
Commissioner Firestone?
Yes.
Chair Taylor?
Yes.
Vice Chair Edner?
Yes.
Motion passes.
And we'll have another update because we have a meeting next Wednesday and we'll
Great.
come back.
Okay, and item 2, that we receive a summary of the 2002 Aquatic Facility Needs Assessment Survey.
Absolutely. So this one was pretty interesting to go ahead and see. So back in October of 2001, the Ojai Redevelopment Agency approved the initiation of a market and financial feasibility study to determine the viability and interest in a community aquatic facility. The committee was comprised of Recreation Director Carol Belser, local architect Mark Whitman, School District Representative Jim Berube, swim instructor Rick Godin, and community members including Joan and Bob Kemper, Jim and Judy Barrett, and Lou, I apologize, Lou, I'm going to butcher the last name here, Santika. In 2000, Setnica, thank you. In the early 2000s, the city of Ojai retained the services of Harrelson and Associates to prepare a market feasibility study for the development of a potential aquatic facility. And in efforts to evaluate residents' interest, a second firm, Raymond Turco and Associates, was hired to conduct a needs assessment survey. The survey was designed to gather opinions from residents regarding the current usage of aquatic facilities. Other items in the survey included attitudes about recreation services and potential participation in aquatic programs should the new facility be constructed. The information in the report, as seen in Attachment A, allowed city officials to better understand the aquatic needs and desires of the community, as well as assisted the development of the feasibility study. The study investigated things such as general recreation attitudes, assessing aquatic facilities in Ojai, aquatic facility program, and funding strategies. The survey was composed of 401 randomly selected households from 3 telephone prefixes, the 640, 646, and 649. With approximately half of the respondents from the city of Ojai. The full sample of the respondents were interviewed with comprehensive questions, as seen in page 54 of Attachment A. The resulting tabulations were analyzed to assist understanding a better, or to get a better understanding of the community's desires. Which indicated that members of the community were satisfied with the recreation services, and they did express a desire for the aquatic facility. Now, it is important to know that while the survey did indicate that the city contracted with a second firm to prepare the market feasibility study, staff has not been able to locate that document at this time. We are continuing to go ahead and look for that file. However, since not everything was housed in one particular location, and these documents are 20 years old, we haven't been able to find it at this time. Other documents that were found with the survey, as seen in the attachments, were an administrative report to the redevelopment agency, community pool proposal, and then the aquatic center rendering as well. And with that, that concludes the update of the survey. It is a pretty extensive survey, and that's why our packet is as large as it is this time around. It's pretty neat to go through and see what was done at that time.
Interesting that 20 years ago there was only 400 people that participated, and I was trying to think of when I first got a cell phone. I think it was before that. So nobody has. I mean, I still have a landline phone, but it's very rare.
No, I was thinking about that too, when it was easy to do surveys, when people all had landlines and you called and you could get
And you knew where they
sample
were.
and you could, you figure it all out.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments?
A lot of really good information in here, even though it's as old
Outdated.
as it is and outdated. The process was good, and the people working on it were impressive. So,
Well, I think I forgot to look it up, but in the recreation survey done in 2015, 2016, it focused on Zerazote, but an aquatic center or swimming pool of some kind, if I'm recalling correctly, was first or second
yeah,
in terms of what people wanted. So this, this is
Hasn't
obviously
changed.
something that
Yeah.
people have wanted for a long time. And looking at the results of that earlier survey, the older one, they want, at that time anyway, they wanted something pretty elaborate. Again, not just simply a swimming pool.
More of a facility.
Well, more of a facility with a big variety of possible activities and so forth. So, I mean, it is, look, I'm a historian. I love to look at this old stuff and think, well, how much has changed. So no more telephone surveys. That is a tried and true, since telephones came into wide use, tried and true survey instrument, but no more, at least not based off of area codes, right? So when I looked over all of this and recalled the other survey and recalled some of the other things that I've read about the skate park and so forth, my question really is, if the city had gone forward with building an aquatic center in 2002, how much cheaper would it have been than it is
In
today?
their budget, it was 2.8 million.
Right, and the smaller pool at the high school is 14 million, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but anyway, so I guess what I'm driving at is, why does it take so long? Or why are these opportunities kind of passed up when it's a clear desire? I mean, if it's finance, I totally understand, and the survey said people didn't want to pay any more taxes and so forth and so forth. But there seemed to have been some state money on the table and things like that. But it's like, it seems to me that taking so long to come up with some real proposals to do some of these things that the community wants to do undermines what's possible. And I don't know if you can just enlighten me a little bit as to.
I think that you raised a very good point, and I probably not speaking to this accurately because it was well before my time, but I think that your point regarding finances, I would assume would be the reason why it didn't move forward. That's just simply my assumption.
And there was a lot of staffing changes in that era since it's not just in recreation, but at the city level and council. There's a lot of moving parts, and it seems like with each change of tides, the priorities shift, and you do feel like you're reinventing the wheel. But I mean, it's kind of like with the master plan. That's why we push so hard to have that master plan, because it was thoroughly vetted, and we had this, budgeted for each little section, and I think it's been a really helpful tool.
Well, and I congratulate you on that, and so you're leading me to at least the idea that the way to get things done that the community is asking for, and that we have evidence that this is a desirable thing, is really for the commissioners and the commission to push on these things. Because it's great you got the Zerazote master plan, but we're now in 2022, right? This is like going on 5-6 years already. And I mean, you've gotten parts of it, you're gonna do other parts, it's great. Every little bit of progress. And I come from academia and the museum world where everything moves slower than glaciers. Yet I'm a little bit stunned how long it takes to get things that people want in this community. And it's not just recreation. I mean, I've looked into some other issues, and it just takes a long time. So I don't know if whatever maybe we can do as a commission, and I don't know whether part of this information was the summary of the 2002 aquatic facility will help with anything in terms of the proposal or negotiating or talking with the school district, but I also, maybe it's just a good reminder that even when things are really popular, there's got to be some champions. Yeah? Is that the message here? And maybe, again, like, I apologize for how long it's taking us, but we're trying to do a good job, but we have to find ways to kind of keep making progress.
I think all the years of being on this commission, the thing that's become so clear to me is that taking your time is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And decisions made quickly or forced through are frequently not good decisions and regretful, because you're trying to engage a community, and not everybody in the community engages at the same time, and it takes a long time to get the input from all of the different people. So I mean, it would be nice to move faster, but you have to move at the right pace to do the right work to get it done, and to know to have the information you need to make those right decisions. Because when you enter into these things, and I know it seems glacial, but it's better to be prudent and move a little slowly than just push through really, really quickly.
And I'm not advocating pushing through. I really am advocating for a prudent process. But I guess what I'm getting at is, as we think about programming, making recommendations about programming, facilities, whatever, that we sort of build in this a conscious and deliberate process of bringing community on board.
Yep.
And so that it's not an afterthought, or it's not left till things are kind of farther down the road, that it's just part and parcel of at least the process that we try to engage in.
And that is this process.
Okay,
Being here tonight is that part of the process.
okay.
It's hard to engage. I mean, it's like this, it's a dance, right? You're trying to get the information out there and then have enough to engage with to get people interested. Because if you think about all of us who sit here are people who are particularly interested, right? I mean, in your own way, you have a lot of interests that you're pursuing in different ways. I don't know that that's true for everyone. And so again, it's that, that's like one of our agenda items tonight is a survey about the playground. The first time we go out and do that survey, we will get as many people to participate as we can. But then after we do that survey and come back with that information, we're going to have a whole nother set of people who go, oh, I might be interested. It's just, it's a process, and it builds. And but planning, a planning process that is the beauty of the master plan. I would love to see us be able to spend more on doing more master planning. We could, but we don't have the money to do a systems-wide, because even when we were doing Zerazote, I mean, we would have loved to have done a whole Parks and Rec system-wide master plan, because that makes sense to do it as one big picture, and then each place have their own kind of piece of that. But that isn't what we had the funding for, because those processes take consultants, and all that engagement to do it right takes a facilitated process. Anyway, I absolutely hear what you're saying, and I'm so curious about we have this document with all this information, which I find fascinating, and the people involved, and have the thoroughness of what they did, and they had a really good plan, and they had buy-in from multiple agencies, which is super impressive. But I still don't know what happened. That's the part I'm so curious about, is where did it go and what happened? But so even when you do all those things, other things can get in the way and sideline it.
Yeah.
And funding is always a huge piece of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I thank you for educating me, because I really want to be part of this process, but I'm also a little bit stymied about just what you said. And I volunteer over at the museum, and I'm going through their archives, and there's a lot of things that I'm finding that I don't know what happened. There seemed to be a lot of interest, a lot of momentum, and then they don't happen. Or a lot of interest, a lot of momentum stops here. 5 years, 10 years later, a lot of momentum, a lot of interest,
Yeah.
stops. 5, 10, a lot of repetition.
Yeah.
Whatever I can,
Yeah.
you guys keep educating me, and hopefully we'll figure out a process. It just popped into my head, and may not be a good idea, but Ojai Day, if we're doing the survey, or whenever we're gonna do the survey, or if we're doing some other survey, I'd be happy to wear a button that says, ask me about the Zerazote playground, and just try to get people talking and getting, I'm happy to be a marketing shill.
Yeah. Well, and with when we did the master plan, weren't we at Farmers Market at one point?
Yeah.
I think, you don't remember? Okay, I think there are ways to engage in different, as we get to points where we're really ready and have something, yeah. But I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I think that moves right into our playground update, unless anybody has any further discussion on on that topic?
Thank you, Luis, for all of this information.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
very interesting.
Absolutely. I felt like I was putting a puzzle piece together and I had the last piece missing. I was just like, where is it?
It'll show up someday.
Yeah. So in regards to the playground, and again, commissioners, please feel free to jump in. So on Wednesday, July 27th, 2022, staff met with Commissioner Firestone to draft a survey as seen in attachment A. The survey is estimated to take less than 10 minutes to go ahead and complete and will be made available for approximately a month from the date of its implementation. The survey is designed to capture the desires of the community as well as the likes and dislikes of the current playground at Zerazote and Libby Park. Additionally, it's anticipated that this information gathered will help the committee in its tasks as it moves forward. And then following that, the following day on July 28th, staff met with Commissioners Ittner and Wilson to discuss the project. And during the discussion, it was determined that the survey would be a good starting point for the project. The group also discussed various platforms which could be used to go ahead and promote the survey, the budget available for the project. And then additionally, Commissioner Ittner shared her experiences working on the Libby Park playground and the aspects that could work for this new playground at Zerazote Park. The group concluded its discussion with concepts and ideas to move the project forward, and agreed to meet on a regular basis so that way we can continue on with the project. At this point, definitely welcome any feedback on the survey that was created. I did notice a little typo on there, so I will make sure to go ahead and correct that. There, I think I just flipped 2 words, but we'll make sure that that's corrected before it gets issued.
Brian, do you want to start, or would you like us to talk about what we talked about, or how do you want to do it?
Yeah, sorry, I haven't thought about this for a week or two. But yeah, just regarding the surveys, it's here, printed. I don't know if we want to walk through it or up to you guys.
You want to do it, and then we'll just comment as we go, or?
Sure, yeah, so there's some background information about what this is, that we're going to be putting in 2 new playgrounds at Zerazote Park, and that we have funds allocated in the city budget for that over the next couple of years, and that the first one would be for tots, the first playground, so it's 2 to 5-year-olds, and then the second phase would be an older children's playground, 5 to 12-year-olds. So the survey is to ask about what types of elements people would like to see in these playgrounds for their children. The first question, you're looking at climbing, art, sound, inclusivity as far as ADA types of features, what the structures are made of, if there's people want open space, shade, sunny areas, drinking fountains, seating. The next question is just specifically about what types of equipment. And then we have a bunch of open-ended questions, which I think for this type of effort, I find more helpful. And just asking about what people like and don't like currently about the Zerazote playground and the Libby playground. I think, we put a lot of effort into Libby, and it would be nice to kind of learn from that and respond to it in what we do in Zerazote Park. So that's the next questions. Questions about safety, if people have any concerns about safety currently at Zerazote and Libby. And then just if people live in Ojai or elsewhere, and if they would want to be involved in the process of the playground remodel, to provide an email address.
My only comment was on the first question. I think people would get tired of writing those words on every line. Could we put like a VI for very important, then a space, an I for important, and then a space, and then NI, and so they could circle them?
Those, I think there would be a drop down, right?
Oh, this is online.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I was thinking about on the first question, we don't have spinning or swinging on there. Like, so there's nowhere for like merry-go-rounds or, you know, I don't know. Just,
Yeah.
We
Would
could-
that, I mean, the second question is that, would adding a spinning, 'cause we've got the swings.
I don't know. I just think that one piece at Libby is
Really popular.
that is super popular. That merry-go-round climbing gym.
Merry-go-round is probably a more,
Certainly our era.
yeah. No, I mean, more spinning, I think spinning might be misconstrued. I think merry-go-round is more, I don't know, is that appropriate?
I mean,
It's,
What
I
is it
mean, what we have
called?
at Libby is somewhere in between, right? It's
Yeah.
not just like a little spinner, but it's not a.
because we put those spinners back in that we took out at Libby because those were so popular.
Yeah,
Just
Right.
the
the
little
bars.
So I don't
Yeah.
want to miss it in the top part,
Okay.
only if it's because some people
Right, so it's,
really
I,
like
I think that'd be in the second one, because the first question is not really about like specific kind of types of equipment, whereas the second one is exactly about specific types
Okay.
of equipment.
But if it's just, but
I
that
like
might be a very important thing. for
Yeah.
People.
So to
Add
add,
it to question 2 then, merry-go-round
yeah,
Slash
I
spinning.
think so,
/ spinning, spinning merry-go-round.
Swings are on there.
yeah.
I don't, you know,
Otherwise, I think it looks really great. It's
Yeah.
very thorough.
yeah.
Any other suggestions or comments?
I just have comments on the introduction. And this goes back to the discussion we had at our meeting when Karen and I were there, which is, I really see this as one project in 2 phases. And the funding, I don't see as being super important at this point to be putting it out there, because like most of these projects we do, we find other funding, and so this isn't the sum total of a budget. So maybe pull the money out and just talk about how we're going to install a new playground at Zerazote Park, because people will understand that. And that it will happen in 2 phases, and one phase is the tots, and the next is the kids, and then approach it that way. Just so that we really simplify, giving them just enough information that they want to fill it out and tell us about it,
Right.
but not more than we need to give at this point, because I think the funding is going to change, so we'll go out for grants, we'll have other ideas. And our discussion that we were having is approaching this as one project, because the budget and the fiscal stuff, I understand the phasing, and they do it, and each year has its own funding, but really, to do the best project we can do, we need to do one project with 2 phases. And when we're addressing design, and we're addressing all of that, we should be working on the whole thing, which
Right.
is the playground, and then partition it out behind the scenes more, I mean, as to the phasing and all
Yeah.
of those kinds of things.
Yeah,
So-
I agree. Yeah, I was a little surprised to see the budget information in there. Also, I think, for most people, that sounds like a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that could also provoke a lot of kind of out there ideas. But I agree, and this survey is designed, it appears to me, to do this as a whole project with 2 phases. Because you're asking, it's not just about one playground kind of equipment, right? Or uses, so yeah, I would simplify by taking out the budget numbers.
Yeah, we could definitely go ahead and do that. I think with the survey itself, I think we've gotten to a point where the survey questions seem to be well received. And we could, staff could go ahead and reword the introduction and simply work with the ad hoc committee at this point to go ahead and do that
And I think it could
introduction.
almost be just like one
Yeah.
small paragraph.
Yeah.
Which is the Zerazote playground is going to be renovated, or, rebuilt, a new playground at Zerazote, or something to that, because that's really what we're looking at them to participate in. And then to ensure a successful outcome, we need to hear from you. That's really important. I'd put that in the beginning. And then maybe the 3rd paragraph, some of that. But I don't think we need the second one. Maybe in the 1st paragraph, you just reference that these projects hope to begin, at a certain date. I don't even know how many dates you put on there, because,
Yeah.
getting this information, I don't know how much they need to know about any
Right.
of that.
Right,
So I think it's mostly, you're mostly trying to get them engaged to want to take this survey, and then the rest of that will come later.
Yeah.
So maybe just a little paragraph.
Absolutely. I guess, my only question for the commission, and maybe we could discuss this at the committee level, is when do we want to go ahead and launch the survey? You know, I think Karen brought up a very good point. I think because we had indicated that it would be available for approximately a month from the day it was implemented, right? So do we wait till around Ojai Day, or do we do it now? You know, so-
Why does it have to be a month?
Yeah, we could leave it open.
Yeah, we can leave it open.
Leave it open through Ojai Day?
That's what I'm
Like,
thinking.
to start it on September 1st and leave it open through Ojai Day, 60 days?
Or just open it when you're ready to open it and leave it out there.
Till after Ojai Day?
Yeah, because I don't know that there, I mean, I feel like a time period is a little arbitrary, because this is not a scientific survey. This is, it's a,
Sure.
I really genuinely want that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Ojai Day is a great source to get it, so
I think
We're gonna
so.
get
putting it
buttons.
out there.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sitting here thinking is, if it's going to be an online survey, maybe we could have, I don't know, iPads or something, so that if they're at the city tent or whatever, and we're talking to them, or recreation, they can fill out the survey right there. I mean, we might get a broader.
We did that at Ojai, at the, so we have tablets. or
Okay,
iPads.
so, I mean, it'd be real easy to do.
And if we
look
do the
into it.
QR code, everyone does it on their phone.
We-
Like if you
Yeah, you
have
can
the
do the
little-
QR codes.
I don't know how to do these things, but.
But you can do it, and, if it's set up like the pickleball survey, we can always filter out duplicates, people answering more than once and so
Yeah,
forth,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's a
So,
good way to, because
yeah,
to me, the survey, I don't know if you want to do this kind of wording, but, we want to try to get people to help design these playgrounds. So if we kind of can lead with, we want you to help design these playgrounds, and how we can promote that between now and whenever you think is a good cutoff time for the survey.
Yeah, no, I think, I think it's wonderful. I think it's wonderful to be able to go ahead and discuss it at Ojai Day. This also allows us to, and Vicky will probably get mad at me because we're just done with the fall activity guide, but
Yeah.
that's a great way to go ahead and, put this out there, is include that in there. We'll go ahead and do something fun, a fun picture with a QR code, so we can go ahead and link to it.
And then, however we do this, and I like should the volunteer give your email address, but maybe at the beginning too, if you want to if you want us to keep you up to date on this.
Yeah.
So 2 opportunities to enter your email to be on our mailing list.
Well, you could put one up, would you like to be informed about progress? Would you like to volunteer to help with, things? And they just put their email and they just check 1 or 2 boxes.
Yeah, I think that's a very good recommendation. I think it's, because there are going to be those that are going to be interested in getting the updates. One of the things that worries me a little bit is when folks tend to see that, and we see that a lot at the recreation front desk, is folks always ask, am I going to get spam? Am I going to get, mailers for sales? So that would be, my only
Well,
concern.
this is their option to opt in.
Right.
If we do, it'll only be people who ask.
Right. But yeah, no, yeah.
Mailing list for Zerazote playgrounds,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When we want to have, if
We have a design charrette or some other, yeah.
whatever you want to.
Yeah. No, but absolutely. I mean, I'm happy to go ahead and add that additional question in there.
so it's boiling down this first page to about a paragraph. And then the question I had, for the survey, should we ask these questions separately for the tot and the bigger kids playground, the first 2 questions in particular?
Oh, like make it 2-part?
I think in this first shot at it, maybe not, because as we move forward with trying to do designs, hopefully
I
we'll be
kinda
able
go-
to engage people at a more detailed level.
Yeah, I think all in one is okay.
And then is it okay to post this, or do we need to come back to the next?
You guys have done a great job.
No, I think that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
All right, so make that change to this, the
Whatever the
introduction.
is.
And then we'll add on the second question, spinning. Maybe it's 2 things, because there's like the individual spinner kinds of things,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And then there's the
merry-go-rounds.
larger merry-go-round, yeah.
I love
Okay.
merry-go-round. It's my favorite thing. Great, okay. Any other comments on item C?
is a great idea. I've seen just different marketing where it's been really successful. So if you guys need someone to kind of research and find the best way to utilize the QR code and different marketing strategies, I'll definitely throw my hat in and help
That'd
out.
be great.
Good to meet.
Great, thanks.
Okay, moving on to item D, update on the master plan, please.
Absolutely. So we'll go ahead and begin with the sports courts update. So since the last meeting, staff heard back from the engineering firm who confirmed that the soils report appeared to be satisfactory. The firm did indicate that the report calls for excavation of a minimum of 1.5 feet and compacting in 8-inch layers to support the foundation of the courts. Understandably, they did advise to be cautious when excavating around the oak trees not to impact the root system. So to this end, since the report was satisfactory, staff will go ahead and continue to go ahead and push the project forward. We'll go ahead and make sure it goes through its final review stages here at the city, which includes planning and art. And then staff will also go ahead and work on developing the RFP for the project. So that's where we are with that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
And an update on the master plan.
So,
Recap.
I hope I represented all the hard work well. So back in 2015, the city contracted the service of Community Works Design Group to create an updated master plan for Zerazote Park. For many years, the park has been considered the recreation hub of the Ojai Valley. It not only serves the recreation needs of those living within city limits, but also those living in the unincorporated areas of the valley as well. The previous master plan dated back to the mid-1990s, and since then, many of the community's recreation needs had changed. Having an updated master plan helped ensure that the park met the evolving needs of the community. As the city and the design group worked together to develop the plan, having public input was very important. To this end, the city held multiple workshops and launched a survey where community members were invited to participate to share their desires as well as feedback on the project. While not every interest and need would be met by a single park, the proposed conceptual master plan was developed as a guideline to meet some of those needs. The needs that would be met were noted to include the following, which was water element, expanding youth and adult sport programs, enhancing a youth basketball program, providing a walking and jogging path, increased and encouraged outdoor play, as well as community gathering, improved storage facilities, and just an overall improvement of the park layout to maximize usable space and provide a more pleasant and efficient and modernized activity space. As the plan was being formalized, it did go before the Planning Commission and Historic Preservation Commission back in July of 2016. Both commissions were in favor of the plan and proposed amenities with minor recommendations such as preserving the oak tree, focusing on water conservation and addressing lighting issues. Planning Commissioner Merck did ask that consideration be given to the idea of water conservation and that any added lighting would comply with the dark sky ordinance. Majority of the concerns and considerations were expressed for the preservation of the Boyd Center, and I think that that's why there's a couple of different changes to the plan there. After being adopted in 2017, the first project completed was the picnic area remodel, which is now being utilized by community members. The next project on the list to be constructed is the multi-purpose sports courts, which, as all know, are slated to be built in the southeast corner of the park. The new amenity will provide community members an area for basketball and futsal. Other aspects of the master plan to be constructed included an updated playground, as we just discussed, a teen play area, a water element feature, as mentioned, jogging and walking path, outdoor exercise stations, a zip line, a turf hill, a 3,200 square foot addition to the gymnasium, a storage facility, and updated concession stand with new restrooms, as well as the stage next to the gymnasium. A copy of the master plan may be seen in attachment A, as well as the Recreation Department website. And then we do have some renderings that were provided in attachment B of the current element of the picnic area, which was constructed, and anticipated constructions that were going to be coming down the road. And I really got to applaud, the work that was done on this. It's a beautiful plan. I constantly get feedback. We have the master plan posted in the recreation office, and people constantly come in and they're just wowed by it, and they ask, what's going on, what's happening, and I'd say like 95% of the comments are just thank you. Thank you.
It was a great process.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, moving on to informational items. So we have our recreation report, and
Absolutely. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our newest staff member, Mariah Sanchez. Mariah is a recreation specialist too, and she'll be joining us here in the meeting. She comes to us with a wealth of knowledge and experience working in recreation with other cities. And so I will turn it over to you if you'd like to share just a little bit about your experience and as well as the report.
So my name is Mariah. I have probably about 7 years of recreation experience, both at the City of Oxnard and the City of Malibu. I truly enjoy recreation. I have a recreation degree as well from Cal State Northridge. So I'm happy to be here with you guys. If you ever need anything, let me know. For the department update, in July, the Recreation Department completed 16 summer camps, which consisted of arts and crafts, basketball, horsemanship, pottery, science, soccer, and surf. We're happy to announce the Ojai Recreation Department summer camps run from August 8th through the 19th. These are full day and half day options available. The staff run camps have longer hours than our specialty camps, exciting use of our facilities, and planning from experienced staff. In August, we are excited to provide 14 additional summer camps, which include arts and crafts, Bravo Music and Arts, gymnastics, horsemanship, mindful movement arts, science camps, soccer, surf, and tennis. We welcome those who may be interested in the camps or other offerings to contact us or stop by our department. We are happy to share more detailed information. One of the programs that we would like to highlight this month is our basketball camp, where youths age 8 to 15 learn the fundamentals of basketball, which include passing, shooting, dribbling, defensive strategies, and more. Participants were also able to participate in scrimmages amongst one another. Our future goals is our fall activity guide, which will be available by early September. The activity guide will be printed and mailed to residents and available online at ojairec.com. The Recreation Department has plenty of offerings for the fall season, with a spotlight on our newest youth bicycle skills program, which will begin in September. Any questions? No? Okay.
oh, welcome, and thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't have a question. Every time I hear these reports, I am just astounded by the breadth and depth of offerings. And I feel like there's a way, we've got to let people know that for a city that has to serve a whole valley and does, these are just amazing offerings. And I mean, I don't have a more recent reference, but as a kid growing up in a small town, we didn't have anything like this. We had basketball courts, we had tennis courts, we had a swimming pool, and that was about it. And so I applaud you both for all the work that you do, and I thank you for keeping us abreast. And let's just keep promoting. This is just fantastic recreation department.
Yeah, no, it's really a group effort. We have a great team, and great support, from the commission. So it's really a group effort, but that's what we're there for, and we love to go ahead and do it. We love to go ahead and provide that programming, and I think that we're doing an excellent job all around. One of our goals that we're going to be doing here in this coming year is developing more programming for adults and seniors. So that's something that is going to be a big focus for us to go ahead and do.
You might think about bicycle skills for older adults, those of us who've gotten on a bike after 30 years.
So yes, that's actually something that we're speaking with the instructor for the bike program, and they are very receptive to doing an adult class. So one of the things that we have noted in the offering is, adults, if there's an interest, please let us know, because we will definitely go ahead and implement that.
And
so.
electric bike safety would be good.
Oh, yeah, that's
I think right now there's a
large
definitely an
influx of
opportunity
that.
to do some education.
Those things are very fast.
Especially with the kids, for
Yep.
sure.
I just want to give thanks to Luis for helping organize the basketball camp with Coach Eric. It was a really great success. I actually volunteered each day last week to actually look at the camp and help out, and Luis was there handing out T-shirts and greeting the kids. And then my daughter, she went to Miramonte for the summer camp, and I saw some of the basketball kids there, and they were just talking about what a great time they had and continue on with the camp. So I just wanted to thank you for putting it all together. And Coach Eric, he was, he just loves it. So this is what he wants to continue to do. It's his passion. So just thank you.
No, thank you. Honestly, thank you for coming out there. And, I think that it's something well worth noting is Coach Eric actually, as a youth, he went through our basketball program and he fell in love with the sport. And so to come back full circle and be able to go ahead and teach, the youth, I think it was really special. And again, definitely worth noting. Crossing my fingers, we are looking to go ahead and start our basketball season this year once again. So it's definitely in the works. So that's my big thing for the winter. So I'll definitely continue to build on that.
I'll add into, like Karen said, I mean, there was an amazing amount of offerings, and our family took advantage of them this summer. It was nice to be able to ask our kids, what are you interested in, and have them pick some things. So that was great. And I also appreciate the camp that's being run by staff, very reasonably priced, which I think is an important feature and offers kind of a lot of time that kids can be there, the half day and full day. So I appreciate that. And the customer service is great, as always. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to Councilman Wyrick. Is he online by chance?
No, unfortunately, no.
Commissioner reports and comments. I have one comment to make. I've been hearing some discussions about Soul Park, and so I'd ask that next meeting we could get either a council member here or someone from the county. I think that the commission is in a position, but I'm feeling really excluded from that process, and we did have an ad hoc committee with that being its focus, and I just feel like these discussions are not being had in the public's eye, and I think it's important for them to know what's going on. So I'd ask that an update be brought to the commission for the public's benefit. And that's my only comment.
That's a good idea. And there was discussion at that council meeting, so the special meeting.
Yeah, and I just feel like we're not, it's like a really big deal. It's in our purview, but we haven't really been part of it. So I just would like the public, that not all people go to the council meeting to hear updates on recreation. They mostly come here. So I think it's appropriate forum for it.
Absolutely. We'll definitely go ahead and work on that.
Any other reports or comments on? I know we've kind of covered a lot of topics tonight. Okay. No? All right. And I have that as a future agenda item. And also, can we add just an update on where legal counsel falls on Martin versus Boise?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I have. Any other requests? Okay.
Thank you.
And I will adjourn.